What is the most intimate, non-sex thing you do with your partner? When he wraps himself around me tightly while cuddling, spooning, and calls it maximum security. If I'm feeling sad, he'll tease me and be like, "Oh, does someone need maximum security?" It's very sweet. I need maximum security. This is so wholesome. Getting dressed for the day or undressed for bed together. Having deep, meaningful conversations on the couch. He scrubs my back before I get in the shower. I shave his lower back for him after a health issue associated it. Going through the same thing right now. Just shaved his butt a few days ago. He's been out of work for more than half a year. He had surgery in March and another one in October. It's wild and disgusting. Literally sleeping together. That's not something I've done with another person for a very long time. Cuddling and eventually falling asleep in someone's arms is very intimate and requires quite a bit of vulnerability. This exactly. I used to get offended that my fiance would be talking to me or cuddling and just randomly fall asleep on me until I realized that he's just so completely relaxed in my arms at the end of a long day that he can finally fall asleep peacefully. And that makes me feel so close to him now. Maybe I need to start thinking of it this way. I also get offended. And that thought has crossed my mind, but I guess I am a selfish person. But maybe if I started looking at it in a positive light, I won't be so upset he falls asleep on me. I never met a man who could just pass out in my arms mid-sentence, but him. Yup, I need to really trust you before I allow myself to drool on your shoulder while I sleep. And snore. And fart. He likes to call me different nicknames, one of them being Peach. So whenever he wants to cuddle, he says, "Peach time?" And we cuddle and just lay there together. It's honestly one of my favorite things in the world. Peach time is the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life. My boyfriend loves cuddling, but jokingly maintains that it's a secret and he's a badass, so I've taken to calling him Snuggles the Jaguar to uncomparate both. I think cuddling can be more intimate than sex. I absolutely love laying my head on my boyfriend's chest and talking until he dozes off or one of needs to roll over. We can usually only spend one night a week together, and that is what I miss the most on the other nights. My husband likes to straight up lay on me with his head on my chest and fall asleep like that on the couch, like a toddler would. It's so sweet, I absolutely love it. I climb into my girlfriend's lap like a toddler unexpectedly and just bury my face in her neck pretty often. Probably one of the safest feeling places in the world for me. Plus, she always smells good. I scratch his back and head. He was telling me how his mom would scratch his back and it is a very intimate thing for him. His grandma would scratch his head until he fell asleep. Ever since he told me that, I've been trying my best to stay awake long enough that he falls asleep from head scratches too, as he has trouble falling asleep. Last night I finally held out long enough. I could hear his breathing change and his body relax and felt him fall asleep under my hand. And I don't know why, but I was the happiest in the world because I could do something for him like that, someone I really care about. He told me I was amazing and I just melted. I hope to do it more often. I have literally put my son to sleep watching him completely relax and then pass out while I rub his head and have thought, I hope you find a woman that will do this for you someday. I just never want him to be without that tenderness. And your command just made my life. There's always a few moments before we fall asleep where we'll just lay together making eye contact. That may sound strange, but it always feels super intimate in a way that nothing needs to be said out loud. You just share in this moment and know there is nowhere else you'd rather be. Of everything listed here, I think staring at each other is when I feel the deepest connection. I remember a time when someone would do that and I would look away or question their intentions. But with her, I feel this warmth and exchange. No words, just a visual intake. We haven't hit the hour mark, but we will sometimes just stare, wondering and appreciating. I think the most intimate thing happened during my second son's birth a few months ago. I had given birth quickly and easily, but then began hemorrhaging. They stood me up to go to the bathroom, and blood began pooling down my legs and feet. Immediately back in bed, giving me shots and meds to try to stop it, but it wouldn't. The nurses were scared and a team ran in. My husband laid the baby down and held my hand. I was terrified I was dying and leaving them. I just kept looking into his eyes and telling him I was so scared, and he stayed calm and smiled and reassured me. I'm so lucky. They found a piece of retained placenta and were able to give me a second epidural and manually remove it. But I ended up losing almost 800 milliliters of blood. I really thought those could be my last moments, and I just locked eyes with him, trying to communicate everything I needed him to know about our family and my sons, but too scared to say any of it out loud. It was the most intimate moment of my life. I'm not crying. Okay, I'm totally crying. Congratulations on your new baby boy. And what a strong hobby you have. You guys sound like a beautiful couple and family. He plays love songs on the piano while I stand behind him, kissing the back of his head. I almost cry sometimes. He's autistic and doesn't do verbal affection, but he finds ways to show me that he loves me. My boyfriend draws, and sometimes he draws me naked. Granted, it's a prelude to sex sometimes, but not all the time. It's super intimate, watching him quietly concentrate to do his work while sort of examining parts of me. I used to be super self-conscious, so just laying there and being out in the open is sort of freeing, and I don't know, just feels close. My grandfather painted my grandmother nude, and apparently my dad found it when he was a kid and drew a bikini over her privates. They were so mad at him. Talk. Just literally open my mouth and I let the most random, uncensored stream of consciousness pour out, oftentimes working through things or saying things out loud to process them, and I never, okay, rarely, feel like I'm being judged. I don't recall a time in my life that felt so comfortable and safe and loved in a relationship. That level of trust translates to so many other aspects of a relationship, and it's both scary and exhilarating. I do this too. I had to explain to him why I sometimes start out saying one thing and do a complete flip by the end of a long run-on sentence. He now remains seated until the ride has come to a full stop. He never does this, so it was super odd to him. Sometimes I wait until I hear the shower water stop, run and grab him a towel, rustle his hair with it and run away. Not the most intimate, but that's what came to mind. I sometimes stick a towel in the dryer while he's showering, so it's nice and warm when he gets out. We're pretty much monkeys. We're obsessed with grooming each other. He plucks my eyebrows, loves to wash my hair and do face masks with me. And I pluck all his weird hairs everywhere, pop pimples and cut his hair. True intimacy is popping each other's back pimples. True love is still wanting to after. I would like to pass on one small nugget as someone who spent most of my life alone and miserable before I met my one. And that's, don't try to force little traditions like that. When you find your other half, just be your truest, weirdest self, and those beautiful little things will develop naturally. The best relationship is about complete honesty, trust, and openness that forms with constant effort towards something better. I promise that you and everyone else who happens to read this will find your other half. It may be in a day, it may be in a month, or in 10 or 15 years. Focus on being the best version of yourself so that your other half will be on a similar path when you meet. You can never go wrong focusing on becoming a better you for yourself. It just helps me look forward to the things I can do for my future SO and what I can ask them to do.